Hey shitheads! Not including 2 reviews I did years ago when this channel was going by a way more stupid name, Yomawari Night Alone was the first game review I posted to this channel. I played this game and immediately thought that it would make for a great review. Yomawari is a horror game series that hasn't been discussed to death, is something new, interesting, and well made for the horror game enjoyers. But I also had some things that I wanted to criticize that I thought could be better. And the audio in these games? Oh, I would tell you how my body and brain reacts to that buzzing every time I walk under a street sign or past a vending machine, but it would gross you out and get me demonetized. You just don't want to know. Because of this, I made that review. I figured since this is where the game reviews kinda started, and I'm sorta getting my shit together on how I want to edit these videos and this channel, I figured reviewing its sequel, Yomawari Midnight Shadows, would be a perfect game to review. What can I say? I guess I'm sentimental. Sequels, remakes, anything like that are meant to take what was great about the originals and expand upon them while improving on what maybe wasn't so great. We've had plenty of great examples of this, and even more not so great examples. So, is Yomawari Midnight Shadows a great example of a sequel, or one of the not so great ones? Well, sadly it's not that simple. This is a fantastic game. If you enjoyed the first game, you will enjoy the second game. The only reason why I'm hesitant on saying that it's a great sequel is because most of the critiques that I threw at the first game still apply to the sequel, as well as there are some new complaints, including one that I just want to mention right off the bat because to me, it's kind of a big deal. I take game prices into consideration while making reviews, and I'm saying this because the price for both the first and second game have more than doubled since I bought them in February of 2021. And that wasn't because I bought them on sale. For whatever reason, they just raised them in July of that same year. So my first review was going off of an $8 price range, which is incredibly affordable. Now it's $21, which obviously isn't the most outrageous price, but it does change my view on the game with it going from a serious bang for your buck to, well, a game that's the same price as Amori, Inscription, Fran Bow, and many other fantastic indie horror games, as well as older AAA horror games like the original Outlast. These are great games, I really enjoyed them, but I don't know if I would have ever even tried them in the first place if it was $21 instead of $8. It sucks that these games have risen in cost, but is this an unfair price? If I'm being honest, no, this is a completely fair price range. Both of these games are great quality horror games, and even when you compare them to the other horror games in its new price range, they fit in just fine. In the first game, you play as a little girl walking her dog. During the tutorial, you're taught how to throw rocks to distract enemies. You throw a rock. When our main character returns home, she just doesn't have it in her to tell her sister what happened, resulting in her sister going out at night searching for our dog, which results in us going out to search for our sister, with our very dead ghost dog leading us in the right direction. This was the setup for the first game, and it was great, with such an interesting way to use the tutorial, and its sequel, Midnight Shadows, does a similarly interesting thing with this tutorial, when in this game, you play as not one, but 2 characters, Yui and Haru. Yeah, they actually have names this time. After watching some fireworks and talking about how Yui is moving away, the fireworks end, and some spooky shit happens. And Yui goes missing. We spend the rest of the game searching for her. Each chapter, we start playing as Yui, usually in the interior of some kind of building, and the rest of the chapter, we play as Haru, trying to find Yui. Using that brief time we played as Yui, we're meant to figure out what building we're meant to explore. For example, at the beginning of one chapter, we're in a building full of books. So when we swap to Haru, we can take a look at the map and figure out which building Yui is most likely in. This is the new way to lead the player in the right direction, and it's great. The only issue is this isn't the only way the game leads us in the right direction. This is Yui's dog, Chaco, or Coco, or whatever the fuck its name is. To be honest, I don't care how it's pronounced, because I want to choco the life out of this thing. For the rest of this video, I will be referring to Kako as Shitstain, because I hate Shitstain. You do not need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out where Yui is at the beginning of the chapter. Old house, forest, sewer. We have eyes, and most of us have brains and can tell where we are meant to look next. And with the blatant hint in our menu, we have more than enough info to figure out where we need to go next. But for some reason, Shitstain is also here to stop the game, play a cutscene, and lead you in the right direction too. Every street you go down, boom, your character freezes, everything freezes, there's a cutscene, and there is Shitstain again. It messes up the flow of the game and feels so handholdy. The first game just didn't have this issue. The exploration was actually my favorite part about the first game, and it's my favorite part in most horror games. So when this little rat dog is constantly popping up and bossing me around, trying to tell me where to go when I was trying to explore, I start to get annoyed. Yes, I know, I'm here, I'm going. Fuck this dog. I changed my mind. Remember when I was like, I really hope the dog doesn't die like last time. No, this dog, I hope this dog fucking dies. Because of this dog, I found it so much easier to do the exploration and side stuff post main story. And I just ended up beelining it through the main story and then doing my exploration afterwards. Because this dog prevented me from it. If you're going to treat me like a baby, at least breastfeed me. As expected, there are many new monsters that you honestly might miss out on if you only play through the story and don't explore any of the side stuff, as well as some returning monsters that are literally just the same assets as the first game, which is kinda lazy if we're being honest. They do stick out, the art style is clearly different, it's improved, but it didn't really bother me because there are plenty of new monsters and other improvements / new additions that were made to the art to justify it enough for me to not be too bugged by it. Plus, look at this little man. He's adorable. Just like last time, there are lots of random events and goodies you can find, some of which can be seen in your room after you discover them. I really enjoyed that part of the first game, seeing all the stuff that you collected in your room, and I'm happy that it is here in the sequel. You deal with spirits the exact same way you dealt with them in the first game, with your heartbeat being basically the radio in Silent Hill. Your heartbeat gets louder and quicker the closer a spirit is to you. This is important because most spirits can only be seen if you're pointing your flashlight at them. But this doesn't apply to all spirits. Depending on how quick they are or how big they are, sometimes you can just see them no matter what. Which is, as I worded it so elegantly in my first review, great balancing. Also, just like in the first game, each chapter has a different main baddie. However, these chapters usually end in a Legend of Zelda style boss fight. The first game ended in its one and only boss fight, and in my review I said it felt out of place. But now that there's more of them, that feeling of it being out of place has gone away, and actually I liked most of these boss fights. But not all of them, which is where another one of my previous complaints resurfaces as well. Some of the boss fights and some moments in both of these games feel a little unfair. Your deaths feel kind of bullshit. When you die or fail a task in a video game, it's meant to feel like your fault, like you're the ones who messed up. In Outlast, if I take the wrong turn, I go, "Aw, jeez, Mr. Cannibal, you got me, you bested me this time." But a lot of my deaths in this game felt more like, "What?" Which isn't the greatest feeling. I really struggled to make this review. It was really hard reviewing this game without completely going over oh my goodness, everything I did in the first review, everything I said in the first review. I know I complained a lot in this video, but these games do a lot right, and there's still so much more good than there is bad in these games. It's just that all the good I've already gone over, and I didn't want to repeat myself, which is what made this review so hard to make. It seems inevitable that I'll probably come back to this series and review the next entry, and I'm hoping that the issues that lingered, as well as some of the new ones, are fixed in these later entries, because these games are just fantastic. Oh! Also, I want to rate the stuff I review now. I feel like that's just like a good system to have. I like when other reviews do it, it just summarizes the whole review, so I'm going to start doing it. And I'm going to give this 6.9 mushed and mangled dogs out of 10.